Okay, here we are at Lysander Spooner, Patch of Heaven water debate. We're going to be getting started in just a few minutes. So if anyone is out there, then let me know that the sound is good. We're out in Armagosa Valley, Nevada with Patch of Heaven, where the U.S. Fish and Wildlife has diverted their water off of their property and sent it all over to Ash Meadows Wildlife Refuge. So if anyone can hear me, please respond in the comments. This time I can actually see a little bit because we're not out in the sun. So I am hoping for some sound. Sound check. We'll be starting our Patch of Heaven debate, where the other side for U.S. Fish and Wildlife did not show up for the debate, and believe it or not. And then we invited Karen Suckling to debate for Center of Biological Diversity, and we never heard back from him either. But we do know that he does have an agenda to go out to where Ammon Bundy is in California. So I guess he only wants to stand outside of places and blow on his bullhorn instead of coming and actually debating the facts. So if anyone can hear me, please comment that the sound is good.
Everything for springs and wells.
Awesome. Thank you, Joni. It'll just be a few minutes. We're getting everything together here. Hi, Bryce. Sounds good.
It's all underground. Although I did work with the guy who was in the army.
All right. Hopefully we won't have much movement. But we got a packed house here tonight. Let's get some of those facts out. Share, share, share. Oh, we got everyone starting to come in now. Hopefully the crowd will be low enough to where you can hear the speakers. I think we have great sound in here today, so we will be getting started.
Not that I like, but I do have interest in some practice.
Please like and share. We'll be getting started in just a moment.
Realize that gas and oil is water anyway, so it's not like these areas that they're fracking. Pristine water. Many, many times, more often than not, the area where you're growing the groundwater is visibly separated quite a bit.
He looks respectable.
The zone where they're fracking. Basically, what they've got is shale rock. There's porosity, but it's not connected. So, high pressure fluid in the air. Mostly water. There's some other things I think is a lot less. I don't know that it's everybody doing toxic, but it's certainly less toxic than it was. Anyway, they pressurize it and it just fractures the rock and the oil. I don't have a problem with the fracking per se. I think the issues that are probably real are areas like in Oklahoma, and they drill these wells. They have a lot of water production. They have to get this water and then re-inject it into other wells, and it gets into the fractured rocks and it causes a lot of slippage. So like these little micro earthquakes, that's a real thing. That's a problem. but it's not the fracking per se. It's the injecting all that water. Yeah, kind of lubricating these up. So areas where they don't inject, where they let it evaporate, for instance, don't really have that. But as far as the contamination, these people that show us on TV, light up their faucet, that sort of things are going on for hundreds of years.
If we got questions or something in the audience later, we can.
You live in Grove?
Grove.
You have a real property?
One of those challenges.
Anyway, without any bias, I would say don't worry about
Hello, Idaho. We love Idaho. If it wasn't so cold, I'd be living in Idaho. How are you?
No, I guess extreme cases. I guess an extreme example is that like all these cave systems you see, they're generally limestone. Rainwater has a little bit acid, a little fraction. 100,000 years later, this cave because the water just flows and flows and takes its toll. But most, except these limestone rocks.
Please bear with us. We're trying to get everyone seated.
You don't find that from the
Should be starting any moment now.
Now, when we would shoot off these bombs, they would vaporize it in this chamber underground. And sometimes it would collapse on itself immediately. And sometimes there are probably some, and I'm not an expert, but there are probably some that would collapse. But generally they would collapse, and you'd get this, like a surface, if you look at Earth or something, you look at the site, you see these craters that look like the moon. Those are collapse craters, and the bombs like 2,000 feet down, created a void space, and then it collapsed in. And they'll be like a few hundred feet across and like 30 feet or 50 feet deep. Not anymore, I guess. Although last time I looked at the Hanford nuclear waste facility, Columbia River, they had that broken down because there's some reactors up there. There's a place up in Central Nevada. Oh, I think maybe the late 60s they were looking for, and they were looking to expand the area where they would install bombs and things. So they went north, like really. They drove 3 holes, shot a bomb off of one of them. The geology was totally unsuitable. The well casing is like a steel pipe that they place, so these holes are 15 feet long. The well casing that was flush with the surface when they shot it off is now sticking out of the ground like 20 or 30 feet. The whole area around it is collapsed because it's installed. And you can actually drive right up to it. I can't sit there. I don't know if there's a sign. That's what it is. No. I'm right here. I was just down here. Phoenix was too big for Tucson. And I kind of liked all the little towns. Okay, that's suburb of Phoenix, right? about as far as they go.
How's everybody doing today? Just about ready to start. Okay, my name is Dave Fleeman. I'm a local activist. I live here in Pahrump. And I would like to thank everybody for coming in today for this fight for freedom.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, David.
Before we start, we're going to do a little exercise. Who in here believes in freedom? Can I see you raise a hand? Come on, everybody. All right, so we all agree. We all believe in freedom. So I want you to stand up. Everybody stand up, if you would, please. All right, let's go ahead and shake off all the differences in the fight for freedom. All right, kind of shake it off. All right, now let's look to your left, and let's look to your right. There's some freedom fighters right there. I want you to shake their hand and agree to fight freedom with them. Thank you. All right, that's what I like to see. A bunch of freedom fighters. Right on. All right, so we can all agree that everybody believes in freedom. So that's what this awareness is all about. It's all about freedom. So, bear with me now. Okay, everybody can be seated. Sorry about that. Now, without further ado, I want a round of applause for Dennis Hoff.
Hello, fellow freedom fighters. I think that's a great terminology, and it is the message of the day. I got to tell you, driving out here today, I just got myself so wound up and so mad. It's just eating me up that the Annette and Victor Fuente's wonderful Patch of Heaven church camp has turned into a living hell, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I moved to Nevada for freedom. Freedom to gamble. I don't gamble. Freedom to go to a brothel. Freedom to drink 24 hours a day, and I haven't had a drink since I was 17. Freedom to carry my gun. That's why I moved here, for freedom. And I see that freedom being taken away from us. It is disgusting, and us freedom fighters have to do something about it. It's outrageous what's happening. I'm watching our state just go to hell, and the leadership is not doing their job. Not doing their job at all. And we have to get boisterous about it. You know, I think back at the Bundys and, you know, my American heroes, and I want you to know I was, yes, give me a round of applause. I was at the prison. I was protesting. I was doing everything we could, but you know what? We didn't do enough, and we all should have pushed harder and harder. And look at what's going on. It's like they take away our burros. They take away the horses, especially in northern Nevada, where there's a ton of them up there. They take the cattle ranchers and they put them out of business. And now they got a problem because they say there's too much vegetation and there's a fire problem. Well, let the ranchers do what they do, let the horses do what they do, and the burros do what they do, and we don't have a problem. The problem is the U.S. government to get out of our lives, get out of Nevada. We need to do something about the BLM. In my mind, go away. Who knows how to govern our state and our county than us? Nobody knows how to do it better than us. And it's time that we all start doing something about it.
That's why we have the 10th Amendment.
And where, yeah, right. And where are our U.S. government people? Where are the legislatures? You know, the guy I'm running against, you don't see him here. Get me elected to the legislature, and I will continue in the steps of my good friend Ed Goodhart, who did an amazing job. Yes, give him a round of applause. And I will use my notoriety, my celebrity, my media connections to fight against this government to do the right thing. They've just got to stop. I mean, I see what they did to the Bundys. It was disgusting. I see what they've done to the Fuentes. They ruined this church camp and their lives, and they're wrong. They're totally wrong. I've watched what they've done for me because I'm running for office, and the last 18 months has been hell for me, trying to take my business away, trying to take my taxes, which I pay exorbitant taxes, and run them from $29,000 to $120,000 to put me out of business. Every county commissioners meeting, they're here trying to do something to me to put me out of business. And the one that fights for me is right here, Donna Cox. Give her a round of applause. Donnie, you're the best. We have to get rid of people like Dirty Dan Schenhofen. Anybody but Schenhofen. Anybody. We have to get Tina Trenner elected to take Butch's place. And get people in here that will fight for us and fight for our water before we're all on wells and we can't even have a plant outside our house. We've just got to do this, and the answer is to vote, get people voted into office, get new county commissioners, and push our federal legislators like Danny Cartanian, who's going to go to Congress for us, and people like that, and push them to do their damn job, and let's get the BLM out of Nye County. I don't want them here. All right, well, I'm glad all us freedom fighters are thinking the same way. Now it's time to just get out and do it, and do everything we can to support the Fuentes. I'm doing it, and it just makes me sick coming out here. It makes me mad, and it's time we all do something about it and step up and make something happen rather than just sitting around and letting things happen. It's time to go to work. And just tell me what the direction you want me to go in, and I'm going for it. I'm going for it big time. All right? Thank you. All right. I think it's my turn to bring up my good friend, the best assemblyman I've ever known in Nye County, District 36, Eddie Goodhart. Come on up here, Eddie.
Well, Dennis, you're a tough act to follow here. Well, then again, he's been lecturing at Oxford, and he's been on 67 different television shows, and I don't have that type of, shall I say, public speaking experience. But I was fortunate enough and blessed enough to be a Nye County elected assemblyman for 2007, 2009, and 2011. And here in Nye County especially, we run into these issues of federal overreach and the federal government overstepping their bounds and trampling upon our personal freedoms and private property rights, personal property rights. Why does it happen in Nye County? Well, Nye County is 98.5% federally controlled. Think about that right now. If you had a hotel and you had a 200-room hotel, they say you could probably rent out 3 rooms, and the rest would be controlled by the federal government.
That's against the law.
And that violates the very foundation and creation of our state on the equal footing doctrine.
Yeah.
Well aware of that. Anyway, here in Nye County, with that 98.5% federal ownership, we are now truly living in what I call a federally occupied territory. I always say I live in a federally occupied territory of Nye. And if you're not part of big government, you are looked up as a nuisance, and you are looked up as an inconvenience. They ridicule you, they disparage you, they demean you, they ignore you. If you stand up and speak, now you're a nail that dares to stick out of the board. Now you become an enemy. Now they're going to use the ratchets and apparatchiks and the levers of big government to come after you. All different sorts of ways. I saw what happened to Dennis Hoff when he decided to go ahead and run for office. I saw what happened to the Fuentes family here when they decided to go ahead and create a nice piece of oasis here and turn it into a vibrant, thriving church camp that was able to go ahead and show disadvantaged teenagers experience nature. First of all, they come by, they kind of scratch their heads, you see them kind of snicker and stuff, all of a sudden buildings start happening and people start coming, and well, the history of Ash Meadows also we have to go back a little ways. Nye County also happened to be the birthplace of the Western Sagebrush Rebellion. For those of you that are familiar with the Western Freedom Lands movement, Dick Carver lived up there in northern Nye County. Well, what happened there was a flood washed out a road leading to a canyon that a lot of people depended upon to go back and forth out of the canyon. Well, the government had always been looking at kind of closing off access. So they said, well, we can't reopen the canyon until we do some studies. Had Dick Carver done that, he would be in jail for decades. Okay, the Bundys just trying to get some horses and their cows back. And look how many years or how many of these folks had to stay in prison for. So Nye County has a history. What's also unique about it is, guess who used to own this property 2 owners ago? Dick Carver. Dick Carver owned this very piece of property, sold to a good friend of mine, Ron Matheny, on the condition that Ron would never sell it to a federal official, a federal entity, and that whoever he sold it to would also agree not to sell it to a federal entity. So what happened here, the Fuentes family, they looked at, creating their little patch of heaven out here. Brooks were gurgling and stuff, and there was a pond out here. There was naturally sub-irrigated orchards. Streams are flowing through. There was a baptismal pool. I mean, it was actually a very beautiful place. Well, over the years, Ash Meadows has continued to expand. Even the land that used to be now BLM has been reclassified as now Fish and Wildlife Refuge land. Over the years, this place keeps on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's called the Big Park Syndrome. They get a park, and they keep on wanting to expand and push out the borders. Well, we saw a lot of people get bought out, a lot of people sold out. Now, the Fuentes is one of the few remaining private parcels of land in Ash Meadows, which used to be all privately owned, dating back to the Spring Meadows Ranch and the Capert family. 30, 40 years ago, once you drove through Desert Scrub, you would have seen hundreds, if not thousands of cows grazing. You would have seen melon fields, cotton fields, grazing. You would have seen a symbiotic relationship between man and nature. All the animals are trying to protect were there in abundance, even in the presence of a multi-mixed use of a rancher-farmer husbanding the resources and creating opportunity for all animals and species, all at the same time providing jobs, opportunity, and sustenance for mankind. That type of thinking has now gone out the window. Now, as if man's there, it's bad. Well, I talked to the people from 30, 40 years ago, and they said there was a lot more wildlife 30 or 40 years ago than there is today. And now what happens too is they've taken out a lot of these dams, diversion ditches, channels. It used to be that how they had built these dams and structures, flow structures, was if you had a big rain, they would capture the rainwater. Then slowly over time they would let it out to sink into earth. They let it out slowly through concrete ditches to water the fields. Now we have big violent pulses of water. Big rainstorm, nothing holds it back. Big pulses of water come through. It's taken away a good portion of the back west part of their property. There's now gullies taller than my arm can stretch, where it used to be fertile flat ground less than 10 years ago, just due to their monkeying around with what used to be. Well, along the way, how this started was they had first come out with what's called an EIS, according to NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act. You have to announce as a federal agency or even as a private entity, anything that has substantial impact on nature, you have to have what's called an environmental impact assessment. Then it went to an environmental impact statement. Well, in that statement, they showed a lot of different alternatives, A, B, C, and D. Well, nowhere in any of that work did it show that one of their